So apparently YouTube has come down on their like strictness.
Oh, really?
And apparently it's like now you're not supposed to curse within like the first 30 seconds.
Really?
Something I read
Just
before.
first 30 seconds. What?
Before it was like
quick.
2 minutes or something.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was something like very long to where they'll take you out the algorithm. They'll take the monetization away and things like that. Apparently they're still really strict on. I found it for you.
Yeah. Now I'm good now.
They're still really strict on
unaliving people,
religion and politics, and and like. Yeah,
is that why that Trump clip did bad?
I'm sure. They actually on Jeremy's podcast, the Gorilla Boys thing, they did a skit on Trump.
Yeah.
And they took it down. YouTube took it down. But they get really crazy over there, Gorilla Boys. Shout out to Gorilla Boys podcast. They took it down. Those guys are they're raunchy over there, man.
Raunchy.
Yeah, they're a raunchy group, man. Hilarious, but raunchy.
What was the gist of the skit?
YouTube took it down before I can even watch it. Jeremy was just telling me about it.
Well, damn. Are my headphones not in?
You don't hear anything?
Don't hear anything. I'm hearing.
Oh. Here it goes. What about now?
Yeah, now I hear it.
Yeah.
You tried to silence me. Couldn't handle that.
Yeah, silence on the beam.
Yeah, man.
Let's see here. Go with my patented message, live on wax.
Live on wax?
Yeah.
Are you big, like candle wax sex guy?
No.
Yeah. Unnecessarily messy, and I really don't get the turn on.
You mean melting the candle and letting it go like on your body? Come on, man. That's crazy talk.
What do you mean that's crazy talk? Some people are into that.
Yeah, I know, but
Aren't you the owner of a butt plug?
No.
You're not? I thought you were.
No, I got lost in the move.
So you were the owner. The one-time owner of a butt plug. Yeah.
No,
I mean, if you own that, I don't think you could say candle wax is crazy talk. We're not being very insincere then. I'm calling BS. No, but I don't get it. I'm not a fan. Don't get the turn on there.
You said something earlier about the guy with the one punch guy. There was this
Warren Hawkins, Danbury High School graduate. If you're out there tuning in, buddy, I remember your one punch knockout power. Not firsthand though.
There's this
we were friends.
Cartoon I watched called One Punch Man.
Yeah.
And that was the whole show. He gets into a fight and one punch, the fight is over.
That's it.
But there's the other storylines.
I was gonna say we need to check the credits and see if Warren Hawkins is involved in making that show.
That's why I brought it up.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to look that one up.
That's what made me think about it.
That's too funny.
But yeah, that's
I mean, if you're gonna fight, one punch is a good way to go.
Ideally, right?
Yeah, minimizes exposure to danger.
Yeah, let's not mess around with this.
My dad, he raced motorcycles, and I remember him telling me, he goes, so when you start the race, most of the races he did a standstill start, meaning all the bikes were set like a starting block, like a sprint, and the flag drops and everybody takes off at the same time. And he goes, I would want to take all of my risk in the first turn. So I want to go from wherever I am as high as I possibly can, because it's more risky every lap slowly working my way up through the field, hoping that nobody else makes a mistake, than to just from that first getting into the first corner and take as many spots as I can and minimize my damage. And so that's kind of the same philosophy you have when you're like a one-punch knockout guy. We're not going to linger around in this fight waiting for something bad to happen.
No, for sure.
We're going to make something bad happen right off the bat.
Right off the bat.
Do you think the Tyson Jake Paul fight was staged?
Do I think it was staged?
There's a ton of videos that kind of show where punches could have been taken and were not.
I'll tell you this. They did a great job after the fight, Jake Paul came out and was talking about some of the clauses that was in the contract. Well, if it wasn't Jake Paul, it was like some of the people surrounding the fight or whatever.
Yeah.
And there was some crazy clauses in that fight to where I don't think if those were said ahead of time, a lot of people wouldn't watch that fight. Like in order for Tyson to get...
For the record, I didn't watch the fight. Because I've heard this before.
What's that?
I've heard...
clauses?
I've heard that there are, if not clauses, that there's some understandings about how these things go down.
Yeah.
And I said it a week or two ago. For me, it's professional wrestling. It's entertainment. It's not actual boxing. It's not a real sporting event that's in the balance. That's my feeling on it from some of the stuff I've heard and some of the stuff I've watched. And so, although I didn't watch the fight, I am on Instagram a lot, and there's just been tons of clips, showing the fighters and things that, punches that Tyson maybe could have, should have, would have taken and didn't. And then you said there was a release of some clauses. So what's in that?
Yeah. There were some clauses about, in order for Tyson to get all of his money, he had to last till second to last round or the last round or something. Not last, but make the fight last. For whatever reason, if the fight ended early, he wasn't going to get his money. And there was a few more, like he couldn't uppercut.
Which again, if you know Mike Tyson,
yeah,
that's what he does.
Yeah,
that's his
Overhand
main
uppercut.
weapon.
Yeah.
So you actually said somebody confirmed that?
Yeah.
Oh wow, that's pathetic.
Now, with that being said, I don't think it was on from Tyson's side. I think not the clauses. I'm talking about as far as somebody holding back. When they got to the later rounds, Jake Paul could have literally laid Tyson out and I mean had him sleeping on the floor. If anybody want to make an argument in the first round or something, Tyson maybe he had enough energy to uppercut and maybe do some damage to Jake or whatever. That's fine, and maybe you can show that video proof. But there's no video proof for after the second round. Jake Paul really he could have messed Mike up, and you can literally see him just falling back, laying back, and stuff like that.
Well, I think the narrative is that, and again, his former trainer said this, under the assumption that this is a real fight, Mike Tyson's avenue to win is early.
Yeah.
His power, his technique early. At 58 years old, stamina is not going to be his strong suit, and he's not going to, age well into the fight in the later rounds. So definitely his pathway to victory, if it was a legitimate contest, was to do something dramatic and early, which, to be fair, that was his pathway to victory in the prime of his career. He was not a guy that was looking to go 15 rounds at 22 years old. He was looking to get people the hell out of there. I've seen clips. I didn't see the whole fight, so I don't know when the clips were extracted from, but there definitely seemed to be some things that were there. Now, the funny thing is, I guess he was seen biting his glove, and stuff like that. I looked at this way. That's consistent with somebody who's kind of frustrated and not doing it almost was like a trigger mechanism for him not to throw a punch.
Yeah.
And that was kind of what they were kind of suggesting, which psychologically makes sense.
Yeah. I heard Michael Irvin say something about that he was biting his glove so much because it's what he said. A lot of the word he uses, a lot of crazy people do that to sort of calm their nerves. It's something like in order to not really go crazy, they have to find something else to do. That you know what I mean, and that was his thing.
And this is a guy that bit somebody's ear in a championship fight in his real career.
Yeah.
So I mean, he's a deranged guy, and it really made sense.
Yeah.
That was kind of a behavior
he was biting doing. A lot. Now, all that being said, I was duped. Okay, I was duped, and I didn't know about the clause. I thought after the slap in the pre-fight, I thought, okay, oh man, we might get at least a serious round or two. It was a complete farce. And I admit to being duped. Netflix was just a total shit show with the the loading up, and you have to find it on that was crazy. Now, Mike Tyson is a huge name. They made a lot of money on this now. A lot of money. I mean, tons and tons of households worldwide watch this. how I don't. We said this about Trump being elected again, and we didn't see that. I don't see an avenue where Jake can fool us again. I don't know whose name could you draw out of a hat that'll make this amount of people come out and watch this again.
Conor McGregor.
No, not like this.
Yep.
I wouldn't be interested in that. Now, I mean, yeah. Now, if you play it up and you do all of that,
Conor McGregor.
You think that's realistic too?
Yes, absolutely. Because this is what Jake Paul has done.
Yeah,
he's created this lane outside of regular competitive combat sports where he can basically has a platform that he can bring some guy on for a payday.
Yeah.
And as long as everyone kind of agrees to play by the wrestling rules, that we get this massive payday in a big audience. I am all for exposing him as a fraud and taking this away. But we are surrounded by idiots, my friend, and they're going to keep eating this stuff up. Now, Mike Tyson is, obviously a massive name. He was an absolute icon of boxing. And one of those guys, and I lived in that time. When you saw him for the first time, you felt like you were seeing something you'd never seen before in your life.
Yeah.
And that resonates with you kind of like forever. And so there's unquestionably, I mean, I'm not going to tell you Conor McGregor's a bigger name, but he has a certain, cultural popularity and cachet, particularly with like the younger demographic people. He's not been able to reintegrate successfully into UFC, and he's kind of done a little acting, but whiskey brand. He's in that place. Now, the other element that you put in front of this, Conor McGregor's not that old.
No.
He's much closer to high-level performance, and will be played up.
And they'll buy that.
Yeah.
Like, this is the guy that's going to...
He needs to pivot because he can't fight another old man.
Yeah.
It did not go well. Whether you fake, stage, whatever, fighting an old guy that, one of the senators, I'm glad he didn't knock Tyson out as you got tired. You bring in a guy that's unquestionably fit, much closer in age, and has this big cachet. That's the next move. That's the pivot he needs to make to kind of keep this going. It's like, oh, hey, I picked on Mike Tyson and whatever. Now I'll take on Conor McGregor or whatever.
That's a brilliant idea and take. That, like I can the way you break it down, like I can actually see that happening.
Yeah.
Kobe says I still wouldn't watch, but I can buy that. He said I can buy that too.
I'm not watching ever. I'm not investing in it because I don't want it to continue. Yeah. I don't believe in what he's doing. I don't think it has any substantive value, and I hope it ultimately crashes and burns. So I'm not interested in watching, but if you're looking at it from a marketing perspective, and I don't think he looks at it from any other perspective, that's probably the whale you go after.
No, I like that. Again, you guys are on the bench, back on the bench podcast with Bubba and Pink, home of sports, music, and mayhem. We're available on all, and I do mean all podcast streaming platforms, including here on YouTube. Please like, share, subscribe, all of that good stuff. That was a little pre-show talk there with the Tyson and then Jake Paul fight or tussle, or tussle,
sham.
light tussle, sham, fraud,
yes,
duped. I was.
But I mean, we even did a segment on the show. How did you get duped after that?
Because I knew I still was going to watch. The slap bought it for me. I thought that meant something.
But you had the Floyd Mayweather hat take.
Yeah.
With the brother. Like, it's the same playbook.
It was laid out. From the same playbook.
Yeah.
But on the show today, we're going to be talking about LeBron James' new star on the Lakers. Okay.
One more thing to consider.
Go ahead.
If the slap was real, you're Jake Paul. Why are you not fighting back?
At the thing?
At the moment. If it's real.
Yeah.
They
kind of got in and broke it up a little bit.
Yeah. You're Jake Paul, the dangerous fighter. Gonna be held back by a couple 5'6" guys?
That's what it was.
Yeah. Can we cuss now?
Yeah.
Fuck you, Jake Paul. Candy ass bitch.
We'll talk about, a lot of people are calling Joel Embiid that these days, so we'll talk about him some.
It's looking a lot like it.
Deion Sanders is reiterating he wants to stay in Colorado, and some other good fun stuff we'll talk about as well. All right. I was talking to my homeboy Said now, and last week. Said, this is not about the Cowboys, but I will say this. Said is a really huge Cowboys fan. He was, his family is from Texas and all that good stuff, so he's brought up in the tradition and raised. And over the years, I would talk to him, and he, really amped up and mad and all of this, and we got to get rid of Dak, and this is what we need to do, and Zeke Elliott is old, we got to move off of him, and this is Tony Romo this and this and that, and always with a solution, always with a plan, always energy, amped up, mad, angry, like fans are of disappointing teams. All right? Just last week, I talked to him to check in, my yearly check-in.
You check in once a year during the Cowboys season?
Yeah. And
you wait till the Cowboys go on a little losing streak?
jigging it in a little bit. Chiefs guy. And his energy was completely different
Really?
for the first time in our entire existence, lifetime knowing each other.
Wow.
He sounded defeated. And that's exactly how I feel, okay? With the Philadelphia 76ers.
Ooh.
Over the course of all of these years, I get on here and we talk about the 76ers, and I'm always amped up. Tobias and Ben Simmons and Doc Rivers, and I'm jabbing, I'm done this, and I'm Juan, you're wrong.
You always
and I'm
you always have like one
Central
person
focus,
to pin everything on.
Always over the course of
that's
years.
true. That just dawned on me.
And now I'm just 100% fully defeated. I have, for the first time, I don't have any solutions. I don't have. We're royally screwed. If you go to Pornhub and you type in, HBD and anal, and that's us.
What's HBD?
Huge black, you know what?
Oh, okay.
And anal, and that's the Philadelphia 76ers. We're just that, we're that screwed, and there is no exit wound for this, because let me lay it out for you guys. I understand the whole world. Roger Bombard, who's been on the show before, he hit me up a couple of weeks ago. He was the first person. He was really early on this, before all this Embiid stuff come out. Oh, Embiid is such a B and drama queen. He doesn't want to play in back-to-backs. How can you like him? And this and that. And the whole storm has come on Embiid now, and deservedly so. I know Tyrese Maxey came out and said he's late in meetings and things like that. That's just the wrong focus point. The focal point is, if you've watched the Philadelphia 76ers this year, Embiid he looks like a shell of himself. He doesn't look like, he looks like a guy who has had 5 or 6 knee surgeries. And anytime Embiid comes back from surgery, it does take him a couple of weeks. So yes, he will have a big game. He's not, he's not like he should retire today. He's going to have some good games. He may have one tonight. But the point is, he's decelerating. He's on the massive decline, right? But we have 5 or 6 years left of paying him at $60, $70, $80 million a year. He's on his contract inclines, moving forward.
His contract's going in the opposite direction as his game.
Of his health,
yeah.
Really. And that's the real problem and issue. And that's the reason why we're screwed here. Paul George, it's the same thing. Paul George looks no different, no better. His contract is the exact same. And it's not that those guys can't play or can't perform or don't want to. It's not like Embiid is coming into practice with cell phones in his pockets like Ben Simmons. It's not that he doesn't want to play. He just cannot. It hurts. When you watch Embiid walk, it hurts him to move his 2 legs. He's grimacing, jogging up the court. He's averaging 1 or 2 rebounds a game. He can't jump over a piece of paper right now. Like, you know what I mean? And I can't be upset or angry at him because of that. That's health and genetics just screwed him over on that. You know what I mean? That's just is what it is. I have to be, Paul George the same way. And that's the issue with the 76ers. Now, the only, I guess, halfway solution out of this, which no way, there's a 0% chance they take, is if they would go back and just tank. And in some kind of way, hopefully.
They're doing a good job of it at 2-11.
And hopefully God would bless us with Cooper Flagg.
Yeah. I mean, 2-11 is tanking pace.
It's definitely at a taking pace, but we haven't had – tonight would be the first time we had all 3 stars in, Maxey, George, and Embiid. It's the first time they've all played together, in one game. So they're going to string some wins together, but it won't be enough. It'll be enough to get an 8th or 7th seed, get tossed again in the first round, and then we'll be back next year with a older Embiid, probably with the 2 to 3 new injuries that he seems to get every year. If it's not his ballsy in the eye, it's a fucking torn thumb, whatever. And that's with his knees degenerating each year, along with Paul George. So that's what's going to happen. But the only solution out of this is if they would just tank, sit him down, get Cooper, and then possibly trade Embiid. What do you think?
I think that what we're seeing this year really kind of puts context into the Olympic Games performance on Embiid, which was not particularly sharp. And he definitely appears every bit of a player in steady decline. I do put some stock in some of the late for meeting type stuff. I know that it's kind of corny in a way, but I do think that stuff matters.
Yeah.
And even when you are the leader of an organization, and the reality is when you're the most talented person in the organization, you have a certain leadership responsibility whether you want it or not. And when you appear to be lax, be a guy that's not, committed, even when you're not healthy. If you're a guy rolling in consistently late, you're probably the same guy that's not giving every possible rehab effort. And that's, it becomes who you are. And I find that very distressing. And I do think with the money they're paying those 2 guys, the organization is in, purgatory.
Yeah, and I don't disagree with you. I agree with you that that's a piece of it. I'm just saying I think a bigger reason to why we're screwed is the health. But of course, yeah, I do agree. You can't, the meetings or the practices or whatever the case may be, that just can't happen. And I'm sure that leads to the rehab, not listening to the health. That's why we talked about before the season started the beef between Embiid and the health team.
Yeah,
and I'm sure that's is part of the reason is because Embiid doesn't do what he needs to do all the time.
But it was funny when we had that discussion. It was more along the lines of Embiid wants to play and he's being held back by the medical team,
which is true.
But could be true. But also, if we're inferring from this kind of lack of punctuality, lack of focus, lack of commitment, that he's maybe not attacking whatever rehab's required of him with the same level of focus that he needs to.
I think that's the truth too.
That's it kind of balances itself out. Both parties
100%,
are at fault.
100%.
And that's just really distressing. And he is a guy, as athletic as he is, and
was,
yeah. but why I say that though is that even in his peak athleticism, he was a guy that there was a certain awkwardness to his physical movements.
Yeah. That
to me, when you see that in a player, it does strongly suggest they're not going to be long-term healthy. And to me, Zion Williamson's another guy in that category.
Who's out right now.
Exceptionally athletic guy, but at a weird height-weight power ratio. And again, he kind of looks super awkward.
He always looks wonky.
Yeah,
always.
Exactly.
At 18 years old, he's like...
yeah. He looks... one leg is not the same size as the other because he kind of almost waddles.
Yeah,
and it's just you look at that stuff. And I always go back to an article that was written by Bill Simmons back in the draft of KD and Greg Oden. And he made a point. He was somewhere, I don't know if it was a combine or the draft maybe itself. And he said, I watched those 2 guys walk together, and Greg Oden looked like he was an old man walking, and Kevin Durant bounced when he walked.
And this is at 18, 19
This
years
is
old.
again, yes.
Yeah,
both men at that time played 1 year of college basketball
Yeah.
and entered the draft as the number 1 and number 2 guys available. Nobody was close in those guys. But you pick up that simple physical body language thing, and it kind of suggested what happened. Kevin Durant is in year 16 or 17 of a Hall of Fame multi-championship MVP career, and Greg Oden's out of basketball many, many years, injury-riddled, never fulfilled the promise of draft night or anything before that.
Yeah.
When you're looking at people, and sometimes it's difficult to do because you could be mesmerized by talent or what appears to be athleticism, you got to look at body mechanics. Body mechanics are huge when you talk about like durability and long-term ability to play at a high level. I remember my son played soccer, and at various points when they're small, like there's certain kids that seem to be kind of good, and I remember looking at myself, well, that guy doesn't move smoothly, like he doesn't run easily. He might be a little bit bigger and more powerful than some of the other kids right now, but he doesn't have good running mechanics. And if you're going to be successful at soccer, you have to run.
Yeah.
And if running is not easy for you, you're not going to be successful. And I never missed on those guys. By the time the kids got to 14, 15, all the kids that I'm talking about were basically out of it. They weren't playing soccer anymore. And the kids that could run easily were a part of what was going on and had, something of a future and a career in the game. Got to look at that stuff. It's critical.
Yeah, you have to. You have to. Now, outside of the Embiid, George foolishness and Maxey calling out Embiid, there has been a bright spot in Jared McCain, so we'll see where that goes. I'll be curious to see when Maxey comes back, supposed to come back tonight, how that, does that put a strangle on McCain's, minutes and opportunities? How does that look? Will they start them both? That's an extremely small backcourt, or will you run McCain as the first player off the bench? Another thing too, and don't get me wrong, our GM took over a terrible situation, but I mean, you just can't get out of a team with all of these old guys that we have, man. We have to be the oldest team in the league with Eric Gordon getting significant minutes. Kyle Lowry been in the starting lineup all year. You know what I mean? All of these just really old guys. And then right on cue, we get Caleb Martin from Miami on a really good contract. People are hyped about him. And then he comes to Philadelphia and just completely forgets just how to play basketball, and he changes his shot, and it's something. I don't know what it is, but when I find out, people come to Philadelphia and they're either change their shot or just completely forget how to shoot a basketball. It's remarkable how many guys come to Philadelphia with that issue.
JJ Redick might have been the only one to survive.
and Caleb is the newest guy with that. I don't know, but we'll see where it goes. Like I said, they're going to string together a couple wins. These are guys that have been in the league for a while, but it won't be enough in the end. And I'm just defeated. I've seen enough.
Sort of like me in Florida State football. I saw enough in the second quarter of game 2.
You did. You called it. You called it. To a guy who hasn't seen enough, LeBron James on Connect. He can't see enough. He needs more.
Is it pronounced Connect?
That's how I've been saying it.
Oh, that's not a good source.
Connect 4. What is his number? I kind of cut it off in the picture.
I forget.
They should give him 4 for Connect 4.
He should be.
LeBron, call
like
me,
that,
man.
yeah.
I have ideas. All right.
Just run that by Byron Scott.
Yeah, I know, right? So he's been balling out. Last game was a breakout game. I think it was 37 or something like that. He hit 9 threes. I guess a god awful team, but the same team. Wemby had a huge game against the Jazz too. Jazz are just a walking doormat.
It was a relatively competitive game too, though.
Yeah, they only won by like 6 or something.
Yeah, so. It wasn't like a game where they're up 30.
No, it was needed. It was needed.
Yeah,
and so. Now, you've been consistent over the past with the Lakers with these random white guys who you said are a flash in the pan.
Right.
Is this the newest flash in the pan, or are you buying that Connect is a real player?
I'm buying that he's a real player.
Okay.
I'm not buying that he's an all-star caliber guy.
I'm
not
ever
saying
in his
right
career?
now.
Oh.
I don't think he's going to be a perennial all-star.
Okay.
Now, and the one caveat I'm going to give myself is like, when I say that, I'm not saying that there's no possible way that you make like a single isolated all-star appearance. But I'm saying you're not a guy that becomes a fixture at the all-star game. That year in and year out, you're there.
Yeah.
That's what I think on the guy. Could be wrong, but I'll take the risk. No, he is a good player. Like he seems to, he fits well into the modern game. And I don't want to put the whammy on him, but like I remember watching young Chandler Parsons and watching him play, and it was just like he had a really nice balance of length, athleticism, shooting ability, and he just fit into the NBA game at that time.
Chandler came right in on time with the small bar, the stretch 4 position. I mean, he's like grandfather, and he's like one of the original OGs.
And I feel that in his own way, Connect is a very good fit for the game now. He is athletic. He shoots it very well. He seems to have a nice skill set that can, operate in different areas of the floor. And I think he just fits the modern game really nicely. And I think he's a very good piece for them. And something, that they absolutely need.
Yeah.
They need, you have 2, older, AD's getting up there a little bit, stars in this team, and you need young blood that can really do some heavy lifting.
Yeah.
And he appears to be a candidate to do that.
I enjoy watching him play. He's what I thought D'Angelo Russell would be for that team. Why he's still there, I'm sure it has something to do with the contract. I'm not sure, but they just can't get rid of him soon enough. He's just so inconsistent. And there's the other guy that they got from Miami Heat, Gabe Vincent.
Yeah.
Gabe Vincent. He's been god awful.
Who has left Heat culture and played well?
I know. They're sort of becoming like the coaches who leave New England. But honestly, man, that's been the case.
I do think there's something to that. I think that they get a lot of mileage out of what I regard as like limited function players.
Yeah.
Guys that can do, maybe 2 things really well at an NBA level. They have a way of playing that allows those guys to really focus on doing those things at a high level and do it. And they also, again, practice and go very hard, which probably shortens your career to a degree. And you get out of that tight environment where you have a very defined role on a kind of a winning structured team. And then you go back into the wild, and it's hard to figure it out.
It is. And you know what? And they let those guys go. Like because what happens is they get to the end of their contract and they've been productive with Miami. And then Miami says, well, we don't – I know, your numbers say you're worth this, but you're really not. But if you go ahead and go out there and get it.
They know. Like, I mean, that's the thing. Like, when you coach a team, like, whatever is said on the outside, like media-wise or whatever about – what your players are or what your team is. If you're like coach, you know what your team is. You know what your guys do and don't do. And I think the Heat do a really good job of staying insular. Like they know what Gabe Vincent is. And when it comes time to pay, they know not to pay Gabe Vincent. Yeah. And they're not going to listen to the media outside. Oh, man, he was a vital piece or whatever. It's like, no.
We have this number in mind.
He's a limited guy that did a few nice things for us, and we wish him the best of luck.
That's literally how it goes.
Yeah.
I thought the 76ers duped Miami by getting Caleb on that deal. and what do I know? Caleb is performing under the deal I thought we duped Miami on. So that's that. You're right on that, and Gabe is the same way.
Yeah.
But the Lakers, that right now they're balling. They've been playing some bad teams, and they've been racking up the W's. We it's so early in the season, but they've definitely been performing as far as beating those bad teams. Now,
I think 10-4 is what they are now.
Yeah.
And again, it is beat the people you need to beat.
Yeah.
Split the games against the tough ones, and you'll be okay.
You'll be okay. Yeah. Hopefully they can keep the health up with LeBron and Anthony.
Yeah.
But
that's what it is for every team.
Yeah.
Like the way NBA teams, and this is another, I was going to say this during the Philly segment, but teams are structured with, one guy, a second guy, maybe a third guy. And that's how they're built. And if you don't have the main guy going, you're not close to what the level is. You don't have another dude to replace that. maybe when you're back in a college setting and you've got, recruits on recruits and you've, just roll out another 5-star guy. That's not how the NBA works. That's not the economics of the league. You can afford to pay certain people, and you have to fill out the roster with other types of people, and those other types of people can't function like your top guys. So if your top guys are either injured and not playing, or they're playing well below the level that they're paid, your season is not going to be a successful one.
No. You're going to be screwed like Philly. All right.
HBD all day.
HBD. Once again, you guys are on the bench podcast of Bubba and Pink on my sports, music, and mayhem. I want to get to this because this is on my mind. We'll get to some college football and stuff.
Firsthand on your mind.
One thing about having this show here is that, this is like, I can come on here and talk about shit and I don't have to waste my cousin Teray's time and stuff like that. We're talking about stuff.
We're not wasting your time, audience. There's something you're going to get out of this.
I can get it off my chest and stuff like this on the show, and then
But you two will benefit from hearing what Bubba has to say.
There is something crazy going on that I really don't think about until like the situation is there. And like in my experience, the reason why I'm going to group all men together soon here, but the reason why I love the talking and dating stage so much is people put their best foot forward in that, and we talked about this in the past, but everything gets good there. In every relationship I've had, every last single one of them, I've had more sex in the talking and dating stage of each one of those relationships. I've had, the best conversations and the best time, the best fun and everything. And then everything decreases when you go into a relationship. And I've lived with like 2 or 3 of them. And when you're in the talking and dating stage, of course, you're living in separate homes. Sometimes it's different cities, and it's still more sex and more fun in the talking and dating stage than when you get in a relationship. And then I hear from married folks, it can decrease again. And these same women that I'm in a relationship with, they want a ring, they want to get married. I'm like, well, shit, I'm not having fun or having sex now. What's going to happen if I give you a ring? You want me to lock in this? And I think one mistake women make, and it's just a dumb, silly mistake, is if something is not going their way or they're perturbed about something, they remove sex from the equation, thinking that's going to make the man change or fix or add to whatever the situation is. And I think you need to take away, if you cut his hair or if you cook or those are some of the things you take away.
You're underestimating McDonald's.
If you take sex away, men like one of my main 3, I have to empty my nutsack. And if you're not emptying my nutsack, I'm going to find a way. If you're feeding a stray animal every day, right? If you're feeding a stray animal every day, that stray animal is going to come, it's going to take the food, it's going to know, even that's not your animal, but that animal knows to come here this time of day every day because you're feeding it. And that stray animal, depending on what type of animal it is going to protect the place because he knows this is where I'm getting my food every day.
Yeah.
And he's going to take care of this place and do this and that. He's going to come back every day. The moment you stop leaving that food out, he's going to come a couple of days. Oh, stop putting food out, stop putting it. He's going to stop. One of those days he's going to stop coming all together.
Yeah.
You understand?
Exactly.
And then there's no protection because there's no food.
Literally stop coming. On you, in you, anywhere near you.
Am I off base here?
Hell no. No, I mean, yeah. I think there's a couple things to it. I mean,
we haven't tackled this directly, but sort of on the peripherals.
Yeah, it makes. Yeah, I say I have to say that's the one thing the woman brings to the table is sex. And I'd say that seriously, but in a couple ways. Like if you accept the premise that you're in a relationship with another person, the biggest component of that relationship is an essential agreement to be sexually exclusive with each other. That's why, I mean, that's what we're doing. Like, we can hang out and do activities and not have sex and be friends. We're not in a relationship. We could care about each other. But when you get into a relationship, when you progress through the dating and the talking and you're having sex together, there's usually a time where there comes to an understanding, explicit or expressed, that, you know, hey, we're just going to fuck each other for now.
Yeah.
And we're going to see where this goes. And so that's almost, to me, the very definition of what a relationship is.
Mm-hmm.
We are agreeing to have sex together exclusively. And if you're not going to provide that, like, why am I in this relationship?
Why?
What is the point of this?
What is the point?
I can pay my own bills.
Absolutely.
You know, and flip it. We could do bad all by ourselves.
Shout out to Tyler
Perry, for real. So yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I don't. Yeah, like, if you're going to withhold that intentionally, you're not doing yourself a service. And I'm like, you know, I've said this before. Like, I don't fuck with vegetables and I don't fuck with church, because those were the two things I had to do as a kid that I didn't want to do. Mm-hmm. And so when I got to have a choice, I'm not doing it again. I have a big belief that when you force something on somebody or force them in a situation, you're not building sympathy or empathy, you're building resentment.
Yes.
And so when you're sitting there saying, well, I'm not going to do this with you because you're not, you know, doing something I want you to do. No. Like, I'm going to go find a sex elsewhere, and it's going to be better because you're already checked out.
You check out.
Yeah.
And then it's like you get to a point where you really just don't give a damn. Like, you can, like, I don't care if you walk outside butt ass naked. If some man picks you up and puts you in a van, that's just what you did. You know, I'm not going to
just
come out.
Another Wednesday.
I'm not going to come out running after you. Like, you build resentment after, because, like, why do I give a damn? Matter of fact, I'm pissed off in the house. Like, I got 6 more months of this, or hopefully I didn't fucking buy the house or whatever. You're sitting in there, you're just like, shit, man, I'm locked into this sexless, lifeless, you know, relationship.
Yeah.
And then whatever, you're gonna go through a couple weeks, couple months, and then you're gonna change your mind whenever you want some or something. You know, the resentment is already built up. Maybe I take it or whatever at the time, but shit, I'm already.
But it's like,
you know, it's different.
You will probably take it at the time. Kind of know you. I know myself. You'll take it at the time, but like that resentment does not go away.
It does not go away.
And that's the thing. Now, I do think though, like, I want to kind of address this from the other point. There's kind of the deliberate move of, you're not doing what I want, so I'm going to not give you what you want, and we'll both be miserable. But I do think, just when you get into like longer term relationships and things like that, even if it's not that directly expressed, if you do nothing as a couple or a partner to your partner to keep the sex like active, engaged, even if you're not actively withholding it, but if you just get complacent with it, you're often going to end up in the same place.
Yeah. Because
it's like you have a duty, I think, to keep sex interesting, to keep sex a significant part of your relationship. Both people have that duty.
Yeah.
So that you have something that you both want and that you enjoy doing in that area. Because we as people, we have a desire for intimacy and sex. If we're not getting it serviced, we will find a way to do that. And so that's keeping it 100% real. And it probably goes both ways. I mean, there's plenty of women out there smashing extra dudes, and it's because they're not happy or their dude's not, showing interest in them or whatever. If you want to be in some sort of committed relationship, you have to be engaged in that aspect and do things that are going to be, titillating, interesting, adventuresome in that area, or it's gonna dry up.
Yeah.
No. And
100%.
I do think, like, personally, I think you have to keep the sex in a separate lane. You can't connect the sex, kind of where we started with this, to some other behavior. that, oh, this person's not doing this, so I'm not going to want to do the sex. Even if it's not like an aggressive withhold, like, hey, I'm not giving you sex for whatever. Even if it's just simple stuff like, you're kind of frustrated because this person like spent too much money last week, or you're frustrated because they, leave the toilet seat up or something like that, and now you're kind of like going to get into the, well, I'm not really up for having sex because I'm too tired of this or that. Like, that's just a dark pathway that doesn't go anywhere good.
Nowhere.
It just, you gotta
fast.
come to grips with that.
Yeah. I think that was good.
It'd be better if we had the sex.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. Okay, let's do this. I got some crazy stories here, but
Nice.
we're gonna hit college football first, okay? And first up here is our main guy Deion here, man.
With his kickstand down.
Of course, we're inching towards.
Speaking of kickstand downs,
go ahead.
Are you familiar with third leg Greg Olson?
Yeah. With the Miami Hurricanes, Miami Hurricanes days.
That is the greatest thing. I mean, that verse is just like, it's bad.
It's a classic, man.
It's a classic.
It's top 5 DOA in the sports.
But I love the fact. Well, I hate the fact because I don't like this about people. The fact that he tries so hard to distance himself from being that guy.
I know.
I hate that.
Because he got in so much trouble for it.
It doesn't matter. Like you already got in trouble. You've had a Hall of Fame career.
Yeah,
you're a successful broadcaster. Like, I would love nothing more than if he just like embraced it. I would. Like, why not?
Recreate it maybe and drop it again.
Drop another verse.
Yeah. Second verse to it.
or just show up in like karaoke spots and do it.
Yeah. Maybe even do like a Halloween thing and you dress back because he had to, whatever, the whole
think the next viral trend should be people tackling the third leg Greg verse. Dude, that would be way better than anything anybody's doing virally now.
Yeah. That would be hilarious.
Yeah.
Start a trend.
There it
Greg
is.
Olson trend.
Now,
All right,
carry on with kickstand Deion.
That's right. So Deion, we're closing towards the end of college football season. So every week, guys, people are going to be asking Deion about is he going to be, leaving or staying Colorado and things like that. So he was asked and he said, made a comment about the kickstand. I'm assuming he's talking about the bike, right?
Motorcycle.
Yeah.
Or bicycle. Yeah.
How it stays or whatever, and basically he's interested in staying in Colorado. Is whatever. Now we've talked about this before. Now,
well, let's kick this around a little further.
Go ahead.
He deliberately used kickstand.
Yeah.
Which is a thing that you do on a bike, and then you kick the kickstand back up and take off.
Yeah.
Like, bear in mind, he didn't talk about like tree roots being planted,
which is like
concrete foundations. He used kickstand, which is about as temporal as it gets.
I'm here for now.
Bikes and motorcycles are intended to move, like homes and trees are not.
Yeah. Very
deliberate what this word is.
You think you think it was very
it's
deliberate?
It's a bullshit, meaningless thing. It is 100%. This is messaging. And if I'm him, I'm probably doing the same thing, but I'm probably going a step further and saying something more permanent. Because you have a team right now that's on a roll.
Yeah.
You have a team that's likely to play at a conference title game, and if you win that, you're in the playoff, and who the hell knows what happens there. And so I'm all in until the moment I'm gone. That's the way I think you have to do this. And so I get what he's doing, but I do think kickstand down is damn near as soft as you can get in terms of suggesting a commitment to something.
That's very true. And I didn't look at it that way. But that's important. That's important that he used that exact term there.
Yeah.
And we know about his history of Jackson State to Colorado and the statements he made there and turning back. So, maybe he knew he had to come up with something to where he doesn't want to be more permanent and then ended up leaving, and then there's going to be that conversation afterwards. So you have to think about that. I feel like we were one of the first ones to talk about this Cowboys thing. It's becoming more and more a bigger thing.
Yes.
If Shadur goes to the Cowboys, then of course Deion can join him there, and the Cowboys, they're in position. They're going to be in position depending on how the season ends there. That's going to be interesting, man. But so are the Raiders. They have this thing to where Shadur every Sunday. He says, "Thank you, God." Like there's a tweet that he puts out, and it happens to be after every Las Vegas Raiders loss. Like as soon as they lose, he'll put that out just randomly.
Interesting.
That's interesting.
There's just so many different ways to read this. Now, I remember last year when he was out in Colorado. He was on a couple podcasts with Tom Brady. There kind of was some intimation that there was some sort of mentorship going on there.
Right.
And
right.
Tom Brady's now a minority owner of the Raiders. I think the Cowboys makes a lot of sense too because they're a year overdue on a coaching change, and they get a situation where Deion's a former player of the Cowboys. Jerry Jones is like an attention-starved child who's going to try and make hires that get attention and get headlines, and there will be no bigger headline in terms of off-season maneuverings than if the Cowboys manage to draft Shadur and bring in Deion as a head coach. That will dominate off-season talk, whether it results in wins or not. It
100%.
will dominate it.
100%.
So and that's such a on brand for Jerry Jones to do. So I could see either way. Those two are both viable options for it, and would not be surprised at all. I mean, honestly, I would be more surprised if he stays at Colorado for another season. I'm not backing off of that until it happens. You got to show me on that one.
Now, you did say that. You were very early on that you highly doubted that he would come back to Colorado after this season.
Yeah.
I stand pat with you. I can't see a scenario that he stays for even one more year. I just don't see it.
Yeah.
Travis and Shadur is gone. I haven't heard about any legitimate star quarterback that is even signed to the class.
They had Julian Lewis was out there the other week. He was a USC
on a visit.
Yeah, on a visit.
Okay.
He was a USC commit. He just decommitted from USC. He was at the Colorado game, but I think he's somewhere else either this weekend or even last weekend. He's just back on the market now. If there was something that that Deion was really locked in with him, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just Deion and his son are so close, and I can't imagine, Shadur starting his NFL career. And I'm not even saying Deion has to be the head coach of the team. If it's the Cowboys, I think it's a possibility, but just not being there for his son as he begins an NFL career, I just don't think as committed as a father that Deion is, I just don't see him doing that.
I saw a former football player on ESPN talking about, he doesn't know how the locker room would feel because he would feel some type of way in the locker room where the starting quarterback and the coach, with the father-son dynamic. And that was interesting because that's the first time I had ever thought about that in that way. What do you think about that? Do you think that could, be a problem?
Yeah, I do. I absolutely. It has to be handled really well. I don't know exactly what that pathway is, but I think it's unprecedented at the pro level to have your father coaching your own kid, and he's the starting quarterback. And remember how he came to Colorado with the "I'm bringing my luggage with me," saying that to an auditorium of 85 kids who just went 1-11 and probably damn well aren't going to be part of the program, that's kind of like low risk.
Yeah.
Saying that to a group of professionals,
grown ass man,
that probably 30 of them will be returning from the prior team and have been in the league for various levels of experience, and you might have a couple all-pro level guys in there. That comes across way different. That's that'll have to be delicately played for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, there is the obvious. If you draft Shadur and you hire Deion, you know who your starting quarterback is going to be. But beyond that, I think he's got to have strike a balance where he's kind of showing. And I'm not talking about the quarterback room. I'm talking about the whole locker room, the whole roster. There's got to be a way that you transcend value or transmit value to that whole roster and not just come across like you're here to shepherd your son's NFL career.
Yeah.
And that's a tall challenge.
It really is. It really is. And we'll see where that goes for sure. Now, where is this at here? My eyes are getting so bad.
It's not a good sign. I heard there's a correlation between that and masturbation. Hey, what do these guys know about masturbation?
Oh, gosh.
Probably nothing.
Hopefully nothing.
Hopefully nothing.
So there's a huge game. Orlando, the classic FAMU versus BCU. We see the FAMU baby crying on hopefully that's the case on Saturday. So, the thing is, and that picture is super large here. Yeah. The thing is here, as a student at Bethune, and then even a few years afterwards, you get really crunk about this game, and you want the team to win, and I know a lot about the team and what's going on at FAMU, what's going on at Cookman. But my mom went to Bethune, and what's funny is, all she wanted to know is who won or who lost, and that was it, nothing else. And as I get older, that's kind of it for me too. As I get older, I just, did we win? No, well, screw those guys, and that's it. And FAMU is 5-5 right now. They're better than us. We've only won 2 games. If you're looking for a avenue for victory for Bethune or a possibility, the team FAMU just lost last week to Mississippi Valley State, a team that Bethune-Cookman beat a couple of weeks ago. So if that's something you can hang your hat on, and if you're going to the game, we have a chance. There is a chance, and it's a rivalry game, okay? But outside of that, I love to go out there to tailgate and buy some stuff from all those black vendors. But other than that, man, I just want to know if we won or lost.
Why do you think that is, though? Like the transformation internally, and your thoughts on the game and the outcome of the game?
I don't know. A lot of it has to do with just being beat down mentally from losing a lot of our top athletes and coaches and things like that, and it loses its luster and importance as far as football games and the football team. But we still want our guys to win for bragging rights. But it definitely loses its luster after a while, after losing all of those guys.
No, I tend to agree. I mean, it kind of strikes the mark for me too. It's if you actually like the game, I think it's tough to it's tough to be 100% invested when what you're watching isn't close to the higher level of that it can be done at.
Yeah, it's
kind of like, okay, this is nice, but I want my guys to win, but you're not seeing anything special on the game side of it. And that, to me, that's how I kind of process a lot of sports. It's like, I'm not watching games just to watch games. It's like I'm watching to see something special. We were talking before the show began. It's like, if you go to a Magic game this year, who do you want to see? What out-of-town team are you most interested in seeing? And to me, I always want to see one of the truly special talents in the league, more than just a run-of-the-mill game. And I think, when you're talking about, your team's 2-10, Florida State's god awful right now. It's like, I don't want to watch. I don't, it's just a bad fucking football team. I can't support that. I can't get much enjoyment out of watching a team that does bad stuff.
Yeah, 100%. Because even in the conference we're in and the teams we're playing, if we were undefeated or having a great season or something like that, you can buy in more and watch. Like I said, I'll go to my grave remembering the awesome football season that we had while I was in school. We beat 2 Division I schools. Okay, we were undefeated. We won the championship. We put players in the NFL. I'll never forget that season. And you know what I mean, and that coach and the players and all that stuff. But outside of that, when it's been whatever, that was 2010 or 2011 since that has ever happened or come close to happening again. it just loses its luster for sure. But still rooting for Bethune to get it done. We don't like those green guys over there at FAMU and Tallahassee. We always hope for the worst, and there you have it. And speaking of, okay, our guy Ronnie, who came in here, he's a promoter, a guy who throws events, and he has a very a special event coming up. It's a classic party. Okay, a Florida Classic party. He's a FAMU guy. I'm a Bethune guy, but it's still one big happy family. Hopefully, after the game, we can still be that. Okay, and it's a classic house party. Okay, so we're going to be listening to some of the songs we were hearing when we were in school and having a good time and bring that old college vibe.
So it's like an old timers event.
I guess if you call us old, with DJ Levy, who's also has been in here.
When you begin the promo with, we're going to be listening to songs that we did back then.
Hey, I mean,
put some age on you.
It's not a ton of great songs nowadays, anyway. So
no, now we're just getting older and older.
So we're still listening to those songs anyway. Swag surfing and all that stuff, man. That's what we're doing. All right. So shout out to Ronnie, and that's the information on there, and DJ Levy as well, man. It's going to be a great time for sure if you're looking for something to do after the Florida Classic. All right. Now let's get into some of these interesting or crazy stories here. This is interesting. This has just happened here recently, and it's a viral story going around. So basically, there was a 4th grade student in this elementary school a white 4th grade student who hung a 2nd grade black kid in the bathroom. And how the story goes, the mother, the black mother of the 2nd grade kid, says that boy told her son that, basically, for lack of better terms, this is how we used to do you back in the day. And then he hung him. Now, the kid did not die, but he did, get damages or whatever. And then the principal comes out just yesterday and says that, the incident was nothing more than horseplay. Okay? What do you think about this, man? It's a crazy story.
This is ridiculous. This principal should be terminated on the spot. To say something like that in the context of what happened is absurd. There's no horseplay that involves hanging somebody. Yeah. That's excluding the racial component of this. Just simply, if 2 kids are the same color, one hangs the other, that's not acceptable behavior in an elementary school.
Right.
It raises the notion that these kids are not properly supervised, whatever the hell they were doing, that you had time to do this. And nobody, catches on to this. You're found hanging. Like, this is not something that, like, something started to go south, people reacted and kind of diffused it before it got that far. You found a kid hanging. Now you enter the racial component of this on top of it. This is a hate crime.
Yeah.
I'd prosecute the kid's parents. I'd prosecute him as an adult, and I'd fire the principal. And I wouldn't bat an eye about it. This is ridiculous.
Why the parents? You think some of this is stemming from the house? He's a 4th grader.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. Mm-hmm. Well, as a 4th grader, where else are you learning that?
Yeah.
What do you know about hanging people when you're in 4th grade? If it ain't at home.
Yeah, I don't think American Studies. I don't think we're doing that yet.
No.
In the 4th grade.
What cartoon?
No.
What show that you're watching?
No.
Like what? Okay, you maybe watched Mississippi Burning as a 9-year-old?
Yeah.
And who showed that to you? Your dad?
Yeah.
He's rooting for the wrong side on that one? Like, come on. Like, this didn't start in this kid's mind.
Yeah.
This is not, kids are not.
And if it was out of his own mind, it might be incorrect. It may not be.
No, I 100% agree. And this is probably not a popular position, but this kid is beyond repair.
Mm.
If you hung the kid as a 4th grader, you're beyond repair.
No matter what your parents are like.
Yeah, if this is your behavior. Like, let's just say your parents are not what I believe. If they're okay people and you're actually some sort of like mentally unbalanced guy and you do this, like you need to be out of circulation. Yeah. Whatever that looks like. You're not welcome in a normal school again. We're not going to wait around for you to commit your next horrific crime. We're going to be proactive, and you're going to be eliminated.
And that's basically what they're doing. Like, if they do pass this off, like the black mom is raising a bunch of hell, and she's really trying to get to some resolution here. Yeah. But if they do just ultimately pass this off as horseplay, in his maybe sick, demented mind, or just or whatever his mind is.
Here's what you do.
He's going to think it's okay.
Well, that's the other thing. First off, I blame the parents because there's no way he knows what this is about if they didn't open that door. Even if he's independently mentally unstable for some legitimate reason, which I think is potential, the fact that this is essentially brushed under the carpet as horseplay psychologically emboldens this kid to do additional stuff down the line with what he will believe will be impunity.
Yeah.
What you have to realize, like psychologically, you kind of like walk through these steps. And if you do this and something crazy serious doesn't happen, you're going to be okay. Right. Like you'll literally forget about this like 4 or 5 days later. And you're back to doing whatever you're doing. And what you're doing is not going to be good. And you're literally building an animal to enable this behavior. It's completely unacceptable. The crime is horrific, the mentality behind it horrific, and if you don't do something serious, and I know nothing serious will be done because we don't have the balls to do it as a society, this will carry on and he will be responsible for more horrific crimes later.
Yeah.
Guaranteed.
100%. 100%. I just thought this was interesting. Don't have to stay on this long. But this Wisconsin man allegedly took out a $375,000 life insurance policy, faked his own death, so he could abandon his family and flee to Eastern Europe with another woman and create a whole other family. Maybe she was withholding sex from him. It could stem from that, don't you think?
Yeah, it could. It could stem from a lot of things, yeah.
But that's
maybe the loss of his hairline.
This is like really involved. You're doing a lot. This is almost like a movie. You know.
I do. Okay, so I'm kind of like, how does this play out though? Like the 375. Mm-hmm. Like, how are you going to claim that without revealing yourself? Like, do you name your girlfriend as the beneficiary?
That's a good question. Now, how I took it is that he left that with the family.
Okay,
that's how I took it now.
So you do the wife is a beneficiary. I'm not making this for financial gain. I'm gonna go ahead and kill myself. You guys get the $375K,
yeah,
and I get Eastern Europe with my girl.
That's how I took it.
All right, a trade. I like it. It's not. I mean, he's not completely owes it. I mean,
that's what I say. He's not a complete bum.
Why not $1 million?
Yeah, maybe didn't
the
have
one thing.
money.
Well, no, the one thing I was saying, life insurance isn't that costly.
Oh, okay.
Especially if you do term, you know.
Yeah.
And it could be a short term with your plan. I guess the 375 is a little bit of a puzzling figure to me, though.
Yeah.
Because it's like, you know, if it were $1 million, like was he? If it's like $1 million or more, would that have like triggered a deeper level of investigation? Mm-hmm. And was the mentality like, hey, I'll just go 375. It's kind of like an odd number. Maybe it won't attract much attention.
Yeah.
But like, where do you, like, again, behind the scenes on this, like, how did he manufacture the death? I mean, if I'm the insurance company, like, I need some proof of death. I need an autopsy. I need a body. Like, what do we got going on?
Yeah, no matter the amount.
Yeah, and we're also like in sophisticated times. Like if if he like maybe killed a hitchhiker, and then tried to pass that off. I mean, a simple DNA test to like exclude. Hey, man, this isn't receding hairline Bob.
You know, but all they ask for is a death certificate, though.
Is that it?
Yeah, I handled everything with my mom.
Yeah,
and life insurance policy, and that's all I needed. That's all they asked for. And we went to like a it's a place in Edenville or whatever. So like we knew the people, and basically like I'm thinking, if you know the person, you might can get a wink type of thing going on, just to get the fake. Maybe I'm sure there are people out there that can create fake death certificates. There's an avenue to how this happened, but how he got caught is what I'm more interested in.
Well, but I just, to me, there's so many ways to get caught.
Okay,
because it's like, again, like, would the family not want to see a body?
There you go.
I mean, like, okay, maybe the insurance company doesn't need it. Maybe it's only $375, but like, your family's not going to want some answers. I mean, and presumably it was some sort of like, sudden tragic death.
A brutal death in a closed casket.
Yeah,
and, maybe you got a friend in there to, throw the scent off, and
I don't know. It's very weird that he.
Pieces, man.
I mean, apparently, obviously, somebody found out because we're reading the story. So
now, how
didn't go as planned?
The wife, okay, you left me for a younger, hotter European. How would the kids feel though? Like you tried to leave.
I think that's the devastating part of this.
Yeah.
It had my parents are still alive, and I'm a grown ass man. But like if you're in an age, these look like maybe teenage type kids.
Yeah.
And you lose your dad.
Yeah.
That's a tough blow. People, that causes a lot of harm, a lot of hurt.
Yeah, and just by them thinking you're dead. Like not even about you leaving.
They believe you're dead.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's the thing. That's the whole thing. Like, I mean, both can be harsh. If your dad just suddenly disappears and goes to Europe and doesn't tell you, that's a trauma that you process a certain way.
Yeah.
And it has its own questions and own pain. And then your dad is dead. That's what you're understanding. Mm-hmm. You're going to process that way a different thing. I mean, because it's like, I don't know. I mean, like, depending on who you are and how you process, like, I don't even know that one would be worse than the other. I mean, if your dad passes away or a parent passes away, you lose them forever. And you're never going to have that thing. But if a parent essentially just up and leaves and disappears, you have that lingering thing for the rest of your life that, like, they chose not to be with me.
Yeah.
They chose whatever they're doing to not be with me. And there's that possibility, and maybe you want to find them, or maybe you're concerned that you'll be moving through life and they will find you, or there'll be some coincidence that will bring you together, and then you've got to face that. Like, there's just so much to that. Again, I'm not here to judge which is worse, but there's two different kinds of injury there and pain. And, to do that to your kids is really unnecessary, completely uncool.
Yeah, definitely a shitty move.
As far as that goes.
Definitely a shitty move. This guy is hilarious. So Micah Parsons on his podcast says that the Cowboys are still a damn good football team, despite the 3-7 record.
Where is he from?
Where's Micah from?
Yeah, I know he went to Penn State, but is he like...
Oh, I don't know.
You know what he feels like to me?
What's that?
A whining male New Yorker. He just has that voice. When I hear his voice, I just hear a whining dude.
He's from Harrisburg, PA.
Yeah, close enough to New York. Hop, skip, and a jump. I don't like him.
Yeah.
I just don't like him. He's just kind of like weirdly delusional. And this was the guy, remember, we had Wood in here.
Yeah.
Wood was talking like we're seeing the second version of LT.
Wood,
you are mistaken.
Wood is a tough guy to have on because he's so animated and he's long-winded. But I would love to hear where he's at right now because he's huge on Dak. He's one of the few Cowboy fans that are still like over the top, like Dak is the guy and could get it done.
Yeah.
Really interested to see where he's at on that and on Micah. Because I've always been the opposite on Micah. I know he's a good football player and he had a hot start. But what has he done in the past, like, 2 seasons?
Because the defense has been really not good for 2 years.
Hasn't been good, and his numbers haven't been like good. He's not even having a Pro Bowl season this season. And I know he's been hurt a couple of games, but even the games he's been in, he's not wrecking the field. He's not having multiple sacks.
No.
He's not tackles for losses. He's not, and they still regard him as this transformational, like what's our guy from back in the day that Lawrence Taylor.
Yeah. Well, that's what I said. Like this started. I mean, he had a great rookie year.
Yeah.
And that, like, people started to drop that name, and Wood was all on board, and like, he wasn't the only one.
Right.
But that's not what we've seen.
No.
That's not what we've seen. But there's a reality in how sports are covered, and perception is a lot of times ahead of reality. And it's like you have this, because he came on like he did, there's this thing that he's really a great player, and that, there's, you almost start to make excuses for the guy, and that, he's kind of banged up, or they didn't have, good defense, or their defense was put in tough spots, and you keep trying and trying and trying to explain away subpar performance. And the thing about the great ones is they don't need excuses.
No, man.
They don't. They're there. You feel them. You know they're there. You don't ever forget they're there.
No matter what.
Yeah.
The greats, even in like bad seasons, Warren Sapp, you knew when he was on the field.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
And here goes the thing. Like, I said the 76ers are screwed. I don't think there's a team in sports that is more screwed than the Cowboys. Even if they tank their way to the number one pick, like who's going to trade for Dak in that humongous ass contract that he just got 2 months ago? Like, it's not like he has a year left on that. He's like, he just got it.
Yeah.
And it's like okay, what do you do with this? Micah, who everyone loves, including Jerry, his contract is up after this year. He's going to be looking to be the highest paid defensive player in the league. Yeah. How can you do that from what you've seen the past 2 years?
Yeah.
They're going to do it, but how can you do it?
Yeah. But maybe, this is where you maybe do this without fear and be like, we're setting a number, and if you want to be a Cowboy and this matters to you, you take the number.
The problem is you've already set a culture to where your top guys get all the money.
Right, but what I'm saying,
CD,
like I'm projecting this. I'm projecting, let's say they get the top pick in the lottery.
Yeah.
Let's say they bring in Deion, or they certainly have to bring in a new coach, whoever that is.
Yeah.
But you have, as bad as things are right now, you have a window of time for cultural reset.
Okay.
Now, whether Jerry Jones has the stomach to do that, I don't know. Can he, break his own habits? Maybe. I don't know. But you do have a window for cultural reset. And when you do the cultural reset, you can do things like this.
Yes,
you can say, hey, Micah, we like you, but you haven't performed well in 2 years. And, here's a number that's competitive for a player of your actual stature, not your perceived stature. And if you value being a Cowboy and a one-team guy for your prime of your career, here's what it is. Let's do it. If you and you want to play here on a successful team, because somebody's going to pay you a bunch of money.
Yeah.
And they, you can go there, and I'll give you a long list of guys that did that and it didn't work out.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. I would, again, it's, you get the bad culture, and you get the team-friendly culture. If I'm the team, I have to play my card. I have to play the team-friendly card and say, if you want to be in a winning team and we have the top pick in the draft and we're going to, if you do this and we do this across the board, we can build a roster that gets to what we all want to be. And if you trust us to do that, we're your guys. And, but hey, if the most important thing to you is redefining the linebacker market for a contract, the Cowboys aren't interested.
Yeah. And you're 100% right.
And we'll tell everybody that you have an LSD problem and you like dogfighting and a whole lot of other stuff, and wish you the best.
Which teams have done in the past. So that's not out of the realm of possibilities.
That feels like a Harvey Specter move from Suits.
Yeah. But I still believe their best avenue is actually to trade him, because
Micah?
Yeah, because Dak doesn't have any real value. If you trade Dak, it's really a dumping of a salary to try to do that. Micah, I still believe, has value around in the league, to where teams are always hungry for pass rushers and will pay top dollar, and hopefully he'll turn it around. And you can actually get real value, some high draft picks, and sort of reset your team that way. But they're screwed, man, especially if Jerry is not going to change his ways and want to pay Micah just like he paid CD and paid Dak, almost as if I owe this to my kids. These are my, this is my family, and and he, whatever foolishness.
Can't you gotta do the. Did you ever read, like, you remember Bill Walsh for the 49ers?
Yeah.
Did you ever read his book?
No.
He literally wrote a book on how to build a championship team, and it was like all through, like, he was a pre-analytics guy, but he was kind of into analytics. Like he continuously let guys go when they kind of reached a certain point in their career, even though they were still productive, because he just felt we can't pay this guy into retirement. And he made all these kind of like forward-thinking decisions and kind of regenerated that 49ers team over and over again for a really long window of time by making the exact decision that you're saying Jerry might fall into. The opposite of that. We're not family. Like, we're the 49ers, and we're here to win. And, we've got to allocate this money the best way we can to win, not because we love you.
So Bill Belichick kind of took that page out of Walsh's
Could
book.
have been.
Yeah.
Because if you look at, like, literally, like, modern football, salary cap era football, so much of that was really, like, in that book. It was almost like the Bible of how to do this.
Yeah.
From every aspect of it. Roster turnover, tactics, things of that nature. Really far advanced stuff. And he was like a legit football genius.
That's what's up, man. That's what's up. Really quick, I want to give a quick shout out to our sponsor, Royal13thebrand.com. Again, that is Royal13thebrand.com. Use promo code BubbaPink and be fresh here heading into the winter. All right. I was kind of surprised. Ant said it was kind of chilly in California. I didn't know it got chilly in California.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah. He said the highest was like 58 the whole time he was there.
What part of California, though?
He said he went to a couple parts. I saw the one picture where he had the Hollywood in the back, so wherever that's at.
That's L.A.
Okay. So
no, I was going to say, if you were up more like in the Bay Area, it definitely does get colder. I thought like L.A. and San Diego, it's kind of really balanced temperature, was my understanding of it.
Yeah.
So,
is it over for my Chiefs already?
What do you mean?
Well,
you're overreacting already.
I'm not overreacting. People are overreacting.
Okay, yeah.
I'm reacting to the overreactions of others.
Oh, I don't care about others. I don't. I mean, I react to myself.
Yeah.
And what I see. And I saw a game the other day that basically played out like almost every other Chiefs game this season, but they just didn't get the stop they needed. Yeah. Every time they kind of needed to turn off the faucet, water company.
Yeah.
It didn't happen.
Are you confident if they got that last stop, Mahomes would have got a score to win the game?
Who didn't think that?
Yeah.
Like, who didn't think that? If they had somebody hit Josh Allen on that run and popped the ball loose, like, that stadium would have been petrified. Petrified.
Yeah.
They would have been absolutely crapping their pants.
Yeah.
That you'd be foolish not to respect what he does, what he's done. So no, I mean, again, if you're gonna play at the margin all the time, occasionally it's gonna get you. That's all that happened. You can't, game's over. You didn't play terrible. You obviously every game you play, you're gonna make mistakes. You're gonna leave opportunities on the field, but you watch the film. Correct what you can correct and move forward. Don't let one loss become two. Don't let it dent your confidence. That's what that's all about right now. They'd move on to the next game and get another win and get this thing back going.
As great as Brett Veach has been, the GM of the Kansas City Chiefs, and of course Andy Reid is in that room as well, the biggest mistake he has made is coming into the season with a rookie left tackle who wasn't even the best tackle in the draft. He was like whatever, the 5th or 6th, which happens when you're drafting at the end of the round each time.
Yeah.
But that's his biggest mistake so far. It's coming into the season with him.
Yeah.
He's been really bad. Really bad. And the left tackle that's the most important position on the O-line.
Yeah.
And I understand, you got Mahomes and you have, and we do have 2 interior linemen who are some of the best in the league. But the left tackle is just so important, man.
And it's funny because the lineman will get you two ways. They'll miss the assignment and give up a sack, give up a TFL, but then the bad lineman is also the guy that's committing the penalties too.
Yeah.
And so he gets you with the penalty, and then he gets you with the miss.
Both.
He's both. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. When you're bad, he's bad both ways.
Yeah.
And that's tough to do.
Yeah, that's tough. So so hopefully they can and they got some guys coming back from injury, but it still doesn't. It still doesn't like help my concern any, because my biggest concern is that left tackle. But yeah, we got Pacheco coming back. They already said he's coming off of the IR. He'll play either this week or next week for sure. You got Hollywood Brown. He's tweeting the clock sign and ready. So he's back in a week or two. So we got some of our top guys coming back who's been hurt all year.
And there's some tactical tweaks you could give that guy some more help with some chips and things like that.
Yeah.
That and do some things to kind of play with that end, whether you're kind of not necessarily read option or maybe bootlegging him or rolling away from him. There's different ways that and Andy Reid's certainly clever enough to come up with some things, particularly in high leverage downs, so that you're not like kind of leaving him on an island on a critical 3rd and 10 or something like that. So I think they'll probably address it more and more through tactics. And again, like the game, this is the way you've played the game all year. It just didn't come out right this time, and it's bound to happen. I mean, you go in every single game expecting to win, but the reality is you're not going to win them all. And the biggest thing once you drop a game is to not let that compound, not get into crisis mode when there's no crisis.
The one positive that I like, that's not benefiting them right now today, but Xavier Worthy, he missed a couple plays, but he reminds me so much of Tyreek Hill. It's not because it's Tyreek Hill, not because it's just two fast guys, but Tyreek Hill had this same process of becoming a wide receiver that Xavier Worthy is having. A lot of people won't remember, but Tyreek Hill, when he first got in the league with the Chiefs, man, it's the same thing. He had to learn the route running, to getting the 2 feet in, this and that. But you could see him improving over the seasons and things like that. And I'm seeing the same thing from Worthy. Like I said, he missed a couple plays, getting the feet in, getting the feet down. But earlier in the season, I mean, he was having trouble like even running routes and getting open. Now he's running routes and getting open, but he got to get the 2 feet in. Has to get the 2 feet in. He's dragging the wrong feet, foot, going out of bounds and things like that. But he's wide open.
But it reminds you of Tyreek Hill because it's the same process being taught by the same people.
Yeah.
That's, they know what they're doing. They've done this before. They've taken a raw speed guy and built him into a better, more versatile receiver. Yeah. And it's like it's two ways. They've already done it, so they know how they want to go about it. And they get to sell Tyreek the whole time.
Yeah.
To Worthy. It's like when he's struggling or whatever, it's like, we'll get there.
Yeah.
He got there, and we're the same guys that got him there.
Yeah.
Trust in what we're doing. Trust the process. And it's easier to do that because you got that example out there that gives the Chiefs coaches credibility with Worthy because he's seen it work. Like he's aware that it works. And that's what he would like to get to. And so it really kind of complements itself. And I love the Hopkins pickup. I was not overwhelmed on that, but I think like he's as much as anything, he gives obviously a second versatile option, but it to me it takes leverage off of Kelsey.
Yeah.
I think Pat's going to go to Hopkins a lot in critical situations, and I think it should balance out where it'll actually probably create some more opportunities for Kelsey as well.
Yeah,
definitely in the critical downs.
Definitely a huge pickup and a way a way to get him. Their first target was Cooper Kupp. That would have been really interesting because he's a completely different type of receiver.
Yeah.
And I think it would have been a better situation. But Hopkins is just such a great possession receiver. Like you said, take leverage away from Kelsey in those big time when you need a 3rd and 5 or whatever.
And they're probably in their thing, and not that Kupp's not in the mold of Worthy or any of those guys anyway. So either option, but like what they're probably looking at, they know they've got Worthy in development, and they do know Brown's coming back.
Yeah.
And so it's like, yeah, we can, kind of focus on more of these like interior intermediate possession guys to complement Kelsey, because we do still have the burners downfield.
Yeah.
Even if they're not fully mature.
Yeah. 100%. I wanted to check a couple things here. The 76ers are getting their ass whooped by Memphis without Ja Morant. That's not good. That's not a good sign.
Ja needs to get back.
Yeah, I wonder, is it, remember last year he had some injuries as well. I wonder, is it because he hasn't been fully in basketball enough.
That's one of my big things.
Yeah.
That's one of my big things. It's like you look at these guys, like they've played like since they were kids. They play all the time. Your body is used to playing and training and playing and training. And then you get in these situations where, he had the suspension and then he came back. He was playing fantastic, and then he hurts the shoulder, so then he sits out more. And now your body's, the normal is the sitting, not the playing. And when you're healthy and not suspended, and you're playing, 75, 80 games a year, regular season plus playoffs, your body is in a rhythm. That's what it expects to do. Your body adapts to what you need it to do.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just the way it was. Like when Jameis said that thing about guys born by the water, that's what he was talking about. It just, you condition your body to do what it needs to do.
Yeah.
And then it's like when you break that up, you open the door for trouble.
100%. Embiid has bounced back with a strong game, 30 and 10, 2 blocks and a steal. If you're Maxey though, and you're and I know he probably didn't intend for it to come out, you gotta have a game after you call out the star of the team.
Did he play bad?
He's playing really bad. You can't come out and go 0 for 6 and 2 for 13 and have all these turnovers.
see,
you can't do that.
I disagree.
What?
I disagree. I think he gets to do the I stepped up to the big man and he responded. Like, I helped this happen.
Even if he has.
This was about us getting the big man going. I'll be fine. Don't worry about me.
I'll get it back on track.
Yeah, I'm fine. We needed to get the big man rolling, and we did. That's how I'm talking.
And Paul George, you cannot become my Tobias Harris.
He already has.
Please don't become my Tobias Harris. Not for another 4 years. I won't allow myself for you to become my next Tobias Harris.
Yeah.
But please, come on, 2 points and 1 for 7, and you haven't been playing well. You just can't become that. I can't do another 4 years of that. I'll fucking become a Wemby guy or something, man. Or San Antonio Spurs full OKC fan or something. I'm just not going to do that. I had the picture loaded up, but I didn't put it in one of these things.
Well, damn.
Because I know you're a soccer guy.
Yeah.
Big soccer guy.
What's the story?
Nicolas Pepe. I've heard of that name, but not
Nicolas
100%.
Pepe, yeah.
How huge of a star he is in the soccer world.
He's not a star.
He's not a star at all?
No. He was playing in the French league a few years back. He then was bought by Arsenal for about $80 million, which was a pretty high price at the time. And he basically completely underwhelmed at Arsenal, and they eventually got rid of him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he's synonymous with overpriced disappointment.
Okay. Dak Prescott.
All
right.
Not even though. Not even.
Because
he was never that great.
Oh, he was never at the beginning.
He was kind of like he was a younger guy that showed some flashes.
Tobias Harris.
Man, more like Tobias Harris.
Okay.
And then they kind of brought him in, and and it's like figure, hey, maybe he'll rise to the contract, and it just
never didn't happen.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, this story may lose a little bit of its luster, but anyway, he was seen on a date with his new girlfriend, and porn star Tiana Trump. Now, she's huge in the porn world. I've seen quite a bit of her work. But
got a favorite scene you want to share?
I just thought that was, if he was a bigger star, that would have been like. So I'm glad I didn't have the picture. But it basically was showing a picture of those two together, on a date. That's interesting because we talked about, dating strippers.
Yeah.
But dating like an actual porn star, that's a different.
It's a whole nother level.
That's a whole nother level.
That is a whole nother level. Yeah, for sure.
We were cold on dating a stripper.
Yeah. Well, my thing is you just you have to know what you're getting into.
Yeah.
to me, it's like it's not. I'm not saying it's the same, but like, if you're gonna date a stripper, you're gonna date a porn star. You have to have like a mentality, almost that like a swinger would have, where you're just like, I like this person. Maybe you love them, but you know what they're about, and like you're okay with them smashing other people, and that's just, and you probably smash other people, and that's your lifestyle together. To me, and the point I was trying to make in this is that if you're okay with that lifestyle, if that's how you want to live your life, it can work. There's probably not a better option to have that lifestyle with than a porn star or a stripper. But if you were, and I was saying it in the context of that Joe Smith story we had.
Yeah.
And it was just like, I got the sense that like she was this certain type of girl. He kind of comes in as like the knight in shining armor, and he's like, hey, I don't want you to do that anymore. You don't have to do it anymore. I got us. Mm-hmm. And then the second he has some financial trouble, she's just going to go back to what she knows. Yeah. Like when Chuck Daly was coaching the Pistons, he was talking about Dennis Rodman, and he said, you don't put a saddle on a Mustang. And that's the truth. Like, if you want to get serious with a stripper, a porn star, some Instagram OnlyFans girl, like, you have to just accept that this is our lifestyle. She's going to do stuff with other people. She's going to do stuff for other people's entertainment. And either that turns you on and you're about that life, or you're not putting yourself in a safe place for you.
Yeah.
But yeah, that just is what it is. But yeah, I mean, if you're going to do the thing though, like, you're going to just find a girl like in that lifestyle and be like, hey, we're just going to go get a nice little house in Sarasota and, play, pickleball. Nah, man. It ain't happening. It ain't happening.
Oh, man.
But it's a two-way street, though. I mean, not necessarily with, like, the sex thing. It's like, if somebody wanted to marry you, like, they have to kind of accept certain things about you. They have to accept that I do the podcast, I tell stories, I'm not somebody that's closed off about my personal stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like, you have to be okay with that. Like, if you
100%.
Go into it thinking, 6 months from now, Bubba's going to shut that podcast down, never tell another off-color story in his life, like, it's just not going to work.
No. Not at all.
But shout out to Nicolas Pepe. He wasn't scoring in front of goal, but maybe he is now. Scrub alert.
TP just sent a message. We're going back to the Orlando gym.
Oh, great.
Off Edge. What was that there? Old TNT gym.
Oh, that sucks.
Saturday. Yeah.
That sucks again.
Yeah. I'll be closer to the
Tell him to bring a temporary shot clock.
Oh, yeah, that shot clock thing.
Yeah, we don't want any part of that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
All right. Well, we'll catch you guys next week.
All right, we're out.
Bench.